Hi there, my name's Chloe. I'm a third year and final year student here at the University of Reading and I study ancient history. So today I really wanted to talk to you guys about the choices that you're going to have to make before you come to university. The first thing that I would recommend that you take into consideration when choosing a university is where it is. So I'm talking about location and distance. Something that a lot of people are either concerned or really excited about for university is that it's your first taste of real independence. So you're not living with your parents, you're living with a group of new people or, maybe people that you know already. And it's an opportunity to finally sort of like test run being a grown-up, and that can be really exciting, but it can also be really scary, especially if you're someone who's really close to their family or someone with a really important friendship base at home. It'd be smart to choose a university which is obviously closer to where you live. So for me personally, I wanted to be able to go back to my parents' house if necessary, but I didn't want it to be so close that my parents could just drop in unannounced. I'm only an hour and a half away from where my parents live. Although I'm not far, it was enough distance for me to feel like I'm living my own life, but close enough that if there was a crisis of any sort, I could just go home. You also want to consider the location of the university itself. So would you prefer to live in a town or a city? Would you prefer a campus-based university or a city-based university? A campus-based is something like Reading, so you have all of the amenities and facilities on mostly one site, and you have the option of living on site in halls most of the time. But you also want to think about the kind of things that the town or city has. My second tip would be to look at what services and amenities the university will offer you. For me, as somebody who suffers with anxiety and am eligible for the disabled students allowance, I really wanted to find a university that would support me in every way that I needed. If you have a condition which either a school or a college you received additional support for, or if you think that there's something that's been going unnoticed as of yet and you'd really like to get it checked out, finding a university with adequate support for all of its students is so important and valuable. Reading University had easily the best disability services and also just a lot of help for people even if they don't have additional needs. Amenities are also really important. I wanted to go to university where if I was studying late at the library or if I just needed a quick break in between lectures and seminars, it was easy for me to go and grab a coffee, grab a quick bite of something to eat, and just sit and relax. Campus has lots of catering venues, and as a vegetarian, my personal favourite is Dolce Vita. I have the best coffee in my opinion. My third and final for this section is actually something I very briefly mentioned already, which is if and when you can go to visit or applicant days, I really highly recommend that you do. It is the number one way that I worked out how I felt about universities. University is a big decision because it is financially taxing and it is a big change. Actually investing time in getting a feel for the university is, in my opinion, the most important part of choosing. But what really sold me on Reading was how I felt when I went. As soon as I stepped foot in Reading, I genuinely felt like it was somewhere where I could feel at home and I felt immediately comfortable. And it's true, Reading really has been my home for the last 3 years. I actually officially moved out of my family home in my second year and I live in Reading full time now. So finally, but arguably most importantly, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to choose the degree itself. Choosing a degree course can be a really daunting prospect. The most important thing that I'd like you to take away from watching this video is that when you're choosing your degree or your course, it's most important to think about what you enjoy and the things that you're interested in. The second thing that I make sure I always mention is the employment for after your course and the employability that your course will offer you. Having an undergraduate degree will definitely still put you ahead of people who have not chosen to go into further education in most fields, but you will then, after 3 years or 4 years at university, be 3 or 4 years behind in terms of work experience. This is not me saying this to scare you, obviously, because I'm doing a degree, but one of the things that I found most important was how employable was my degree going to be. it's now the header for my CV. Which leads me very nicely onto my next point, research output. Depending on what degree that you're taking, this may apply more or less to you. Modernizing the ancient world is something that I find really interesting, and the ethics that surround it are so fascinating to me. So making sure that the research output was of a high standard was so important to me. At Reading, over 97% of all research produces of an international standard, which is so high. If research isn't something that you're particularly keen on, or maybe it doesn't completely apply to your course, it's really important to look at the learning style that your course will offer. Everyone learns best in different ways, so if you are somebody who is more hands-on and practical, it's good to find out whether your course will offer you practical elements, whether they put more weight on those. If you love writing essays and producing coursework like I do, it's really good to see whether that's an option for you, whether you don't have to participate in as much practical stuff or maybe exams, or maybe you love exams and the way that your course is assessed is mostly exam will be the most important thing to you. Another thing to look at is the prospectus for your academic year. You'll see all of the course listings, and underneath them there will be a sample of potential modules that you can select. A module is either a compulsory or an optional aspect of your degree, which is essentially like the subjects that you study individually within the degree. Reading's module selection process was the most flexible that I could find. It was wonderful. At any year of your course, you have so many options of different things you can do. And last but not least is, of course, what we've already talked about, which is taster day. This will give you a more accurate taster of how your course will feel when it's being taught to you, how the staff and faculty use the resources available to them, and the kind of community which is available within your department. That's it from me. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in September.